What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to today's 100, which used to be called a late night agenda. But as I promised, we are changing the name. Tonight, we're going to talk about plenty of things. I want your feedback on if you think the echo has been reduced because we have taken some steps today. You can't see them, obviously, but from my side, there is a big barrier now between me and the other half of this room. So fingers crossed, it helps a little bit with the audio situation. We're going to discuss the Gonzalo Inacio links. We're going to talk Maxence Lacroix. We're going to laugh at Barcelona and Real Madrid and their, feeble amount to try and get Julian Alvarez out of Atletico Madrid. We'll be talking about some players that the Reds have released and lots more over the next while. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, this is your show. We want to know your thoughts, so do let me know in the comment section. Drop a like if you enjoy this stream, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without any further ado, let's start the 100. And we're off. As you can see, countdown clock now in the bottom corner, so people will come in and they will know how long is left in tonight's stream. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by saying thank you to Mark. I seen you gifted a couple of memberships in there as well. Whatever it is that you guys would like to discuss, let me know. And I hope the sound issues are somewhat resolved. I have a big 10-foot by 8-foot barrier in front of me right now that we've been working all day to try and sort out. So yeah, I'm still getting to grips with all of this. You know, I'm still in a new environment and it takes me a while to calm down a little bit and feel at ease. But of course, you guys are always a great help with that one. So damn, the echo is so much better. Well, we try. We try. We do listen to your feedback, and it was very much welcome, by the way, because that's the type of thing that I didn't really know about until we start recording. So yeah, it really does help to get that feedback. And again, thank you to everyone that did take the time to let us know. So today, wow, lots to go through. We'll be talking about Diamonde. We'll be talking about Trincao. We'll be talking about the AI transfer agent. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but there is something to it, so we'll go through that as well. Where to kick off with? I guess let's kick off with a conversation around a player who you guys had mentioned to me over the last couple of days, but whom I hadn't really had time to do a bit of digging on. But Benz has been talking about a utility option that Liverpool could go with in the front line that would be a reasonable fee. I'm talking here about Mateus Fernandez Pardo of Lille, somebody who we kind of brought up the other day, but didn't really have too much to discuss with regards to it. But Benz has done a very good piece on this on the Anfield Watch Substack, so do give that a read if you get a chance. But he goes into some details about why he thinks that this guy could be the right fit for Liverpool. And he said the reason why is because he's more versatile than Bouzamana Touré. This season for Lille, Fernandez Pardo had operated as a left winger, as a centre forward, and on both sides really. He's played on both flanks and as a centre forward. He said he started 16 games through the middle, 13 games from the left hand side, and occasionally he also played on the right. 21 years of age, he said he has an interesting profile, quite tall, standing at 6'2". Hang on, is it another Cody Gakpo? Let me just keep going. He said he has a strong muscular physique, able to ride challenges and push his opponents. Over the course of last season, Benz writes that he himself proved to be one of the most effective dribblers in the French top tier. Out of the players who averaged at least 5 dribbles in the competition and at least 2,000 minutes, Fernandez Pardo ranked 4th among dribblers with a dribble rate success of about 54%. So look, this seems like it's a realistic option for Liverpool if they would like to go down that route. And that is something that I've been trying to figure out over the last few days. What's reasonable here for Liverpool this summer? Where can we get some good value in the transfer market? Because some of the numbers that have been doing the rounds have been, well, quite simply ludicrous. So let me know your thoughts on this young man. Is he the right fit? Let me know what you think. Right, where are we at? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just paying attention to all of my notes to make sure we're good to go. Love the studio, said Steve. Great work, Craig. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you. It's still taking me a bit of getting used to be in here, and I want to jazz it up a little bit with a bit more fun stuff. So we're probably going to stick a few bits over here on this side over the course of the next few weeks. Right, let's keep going. Much better sound. Good. That's honestly music to my ears because I hate disappointing people, so I tried to do something at least today to improve the audio issues, which you guys kindly let us know about yesterday. So on this one, right, let's talk Gonzalo Inacio, if I can, ladies and gentlemen, because all I can tell you is there is interest there in Gonzalo Inacio. And looking into this a little bit earlier on, and I'll touch on it a bit more detail later, but I was reaching out to people today to see what centre-back names they've been seeing linked with Liverpool. And two names that I was hearing is Maxence Lacroix of Crystal Palace, and of course on top of that, Gonzalo Inacio. And I was thinking about the Inacio thing, and I kind of batted it away at first, but the more I dug into it, the more I think, okay, let's say the club don't think that they could get Schlotterbeck, or that they don't think Schlotterbeck's the right profile they're looking for. Gonzalo Inacio would fulfill a lot of the criteria. He is a left-footed centre-back, which is important because we have two players to play on the right side, Virgil to play on the left side, and of course, in a year's time when Virgil goes, we're going to need a left-sided centre-back, and if you can get a naturally left-footed one, I think that's a bonus as well, having Kirkes then out on the opposite side, or on the far side, excuse me, playing full-back. So Gonzalo Inacio is a name worth keeping an eye on, but again, I can't sit here and tell you 100% that this is the one Liverpool are going for, but keep an eye on Maxence Lacroix as well at Crystal Palace, because he's been rumoured to want to move away this summer, and Liverpool's name has been mentioned in circles that I've spoken to today. How much digging is involved in your info? Is it very time consuming? Oh, yes. A lot of reading, a lot of trying to figure out and sift through what you think is nonsense, Alex, and what you think has credibility to it. But what does make life a little bit easier is when you have the ability to reach out to people that you know are moving in the same circles as you, to hear and cross-reference what you've heard and ask, are they hearing something similar? So yeah, a lot of work goes into it, it really does, but it's a labour of love. As I've always said, I'm very blessed to be able to do this, and even when I wasn't involved in content and I was just, a football fan, I was always mad about transfers and trying to unearth any little bits of information that I could. But yeah, it really is, anyone who does this for a living will tell you it's probably more of a lifestyle job than anything else, but definitely need lots of digging, yes, because if you were to say everything that you get told, I mean, your reputation would be in the bin. Sometimes you get sent stuff and you're wondering, am I getting sent this stuff to test me? Am I getting sent this stuff to try and trip us up? So yeah, we're kind of careful about what we say has credibility to it. But then, of course, there are going to be times where we're just reporting articles that are written out there and asking you guys for your opinion. John Erdinger said, hey Craig, congratulations on the new studio. Thank you, my man. It's been a long time in the works, but we're finally in. We finally get to get a couple of streams together, and appreciate your 19 months with us. It still feels a bit strange and eerie to me, though, because, I'm so used to being in one particular part of my house where I've spent 6-7 years doing this. So now having all this arm room and space, it feels a little bit alien to me. XXX Cobe Sanity said, hey Craig, I like the new studio. Thank you, my man. There's lots of the studio that you guys can't see that will show you the fun parts of. So I have my Ballon d'Or wall with all the shirts that, I take tremendous honour in being able to have. So I've got a Messi shirt, a Ronaldo shirt, a Kaká shirt, a Ronaldinho shirt. And hopefully we'll be able to show you guys around a little bit more when things calm down. Right, let's keep going. Congrats on the new setup, Craig. I've not been in for a few days. And can I ask what the clock is for, bro? Much love as always. So the show is now called The 100, and it's something that I thought of a couple of months back and thought, well, there's no point in bringing it in now. We'll wait. So this show used to be called The Late Night Agenda. Now we're going to call it The 100, and the clock is so when people come in, they know how much time we have left on the stream, and I just think it's an interesting idea. If it isn't something that people like, hey, look, we can do it away with it in the future, no problem. But that is why you see the countdown clock in the bottom corner. That'll be a regular feature on these nightly streams. We're also working on fun ways that we can maybe create a little bit of hijinks here and that you guys can make me stream longer. But for now, that's what we're going to run with for the start. So the show's now called The 100, and that's the idea behind it. Right, let's keep going. We need a soft kitty to test sound. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr. There you go. I mean, you ask, you get. So I don't know what the acoustics were like there, but here we go. Hey Craig, I'm loving the new background. Is this the first day? And who are you sponsored on the left here? We're not sponsored by anybody. That's not a sponsorship. It's just a new show name, as I was saying, the 100. So we're going to count down from 100 minutes right down. I looked through and I roughly stream for somewhere between 90 and 120 minutes. So we just thought, let's go with the 100, a nice round number, and then have a countdown clock in the corner. Of course, the sub count is back up in the top corner as well. Thank you to Connor for logging in and setting that up earlier on as well. But is it the first day? No, it's the second day. We were in here last night for a bit of a test stream, but there was some issues with echo and stuff like that. So we're working away today to try and reduce that echo down. And we have a big barrier up now between me and the other half of the room. Right, what else have we got? Hey, Craig, I know this is slightly inconsiderate of me, but could you make more streams a bit earlier? No, I can't. This is my time frame. This is me. This is my consistency. This is my comfort zone. And our streams have always been about this time. So I'm going to continue it. You know, we do put out content right throughout the day. Connor's here in the morning with a video. We have an early evening video. But this is what's the best suitable time for me and my family, to be honest with you. So, and I like streaming at night time because I'm at my most awake when it comes to the evening. I'm definitely a night owl. So, yeah, unfortunately, not going to be able to make them any earlier. How do you keep the new studio warm, Craig? I've got an outside summer house of a fashion. It's a challenge keeping it from being freezing in the winter. Well, this is a proper build. Like, if you see this, it's a structure with a timber frame, plastered walls, insulated walls. Like, it is a proper building. So we have a radiator in here, an electric heater that is brilliant, to be honest, and it more than heats the place. You can set it to whatever temperature you want the room in, and it's pretty cheap to run as well. So that's what we've done for the heating side of it. But yeah, we looked at lots of different things. We looked at timber buildings. We looked at obviously metal buildings, and we just thought we might as well do it properly, you know, and that's what we've done. Right, let's get into the transfer talk because there's a lot today for us to go through. And I want to start off with some news around Matheus Fernandes. So I said to you guys last week that if indeed Florentino Perez did win those presidential elections at Real Madrid, that Jose Mourinho wanted to try and bring in Matheus Fernandes of West Ham. And this piece here from J. Felix Diaz said Jose Mourinho considers Matheus Fernandes a top priority for Real Madrid this summer. George Mendes is now working to take him to Madrid, with West Ham's asking price set at around £85 million or about €100 million. Now look, I'm a big fan of him as a footballer, but there's absolutely no way that I think anybody should be paying £85 million for Fernandes, and I certainly don't expect Real Madrid to cough up that amount either. But yeah, let me know what you guys think on that one. It is getting more and more difficult to try to figure out which midfield personnel the Reds are going to look for. I mean, there's definitely a lot of credibility to the Alex Scott thing, but yeah, we're talking again a huge sum of money there. Alex Scott's name has been mentioned alongside figures of about £85 million, and it seems like nobody knows any number that isn't £80 million or upwards at the minute. But I wanted to just come back to the conversation I was having about Sporting's defender Gonzalo Inacio. So initially, like I said, when I seen these links, I started to just bat them away as being lazy old rehashing stories. But I've actually started to ask around and dig a little bit deeper. And then I came across an article earlier on that I thought had a good few bits of information in it. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to read you out a couple of paragraphs of this piece from sportsmole.co.uk. And they said, Sporting defender Gonzalo Inacio remains firmly on Liverpool's radar as the club searches for a long-term successor to Ibrahima Konate. The France international is set to leave Liverpool after the contract talks broke down, in which we know he's going to Real Madrid, forcing Liverpool to accelerate plans for a replacement. Fresh reports suggest that sources close to the agents industry have indicated that Inacio is one of the leading candidates under consideration. Now, just before we go any further on this, he is in the perfect age profile. He's 24, I believe he turns 25 on the 1st of August or early in August. And that is something that Liverpool are going to be looking to do this summer. You've probably seen the pieces yourself saying Liverpool are going to be looking to bring in players 24 years of age or younger. So to continue on anyway, this piece said that Liverpool are not alone in their admiration for Inacio. The likes of Manchester United, Chelsea, Barcelona, Real Madrid have all been credited with an interest in the Portuguese international in recent months. underlining the level of competition likely to emerge for the Sporting star. Inacio's contract does contain a €60 million or £55 million release clause, meaning that if a club did want to go in and just get him out of his contract, they could do it and pay it in one instalment and get him out of Lisbon. But they reckon that Lisbon may be willing to do business a little bit cheaper than the release clause. So let's wait and see what happens with that one. But look, I'd still say Schlotterbeck to me would be the ideal one. He's the one that I'd like to see Liverpool go out to get. But if we can't get him, I think Inacio definitely has some credibility to it, particularly with the line-breaking passes that he is known to have and his ability to be a bit of a ball-playing centre-back, which Andoni Iraola likes in his systems. Paul said, thanks, all love this community, and thanks, Craig. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you. It's great having you in as well. So there's a couple of other bits and pieces. We are working on making the super chats on screen a little bit bigger for you as well, so you can read them. That was another bit of feedback that we took from you guys the other day. Sounds better. Still lots of reverb. More soundproofing near you could help stop sound from getting the rest of... Stop sound from getting the rest of the room. And feedback on the mic. Well, we're working on it. As I said, baby steps, and we put up something today. We're going to get some more soundproofing to go on top of that, but we hope that this certainly improves things a little bit. But, we're learning on the go, so we'll give it our best shot. Well done to you and your team. Great studio. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you. First ever super chat. Oh, Ryan. Oh, man, I love that. Very, very grateful. But what I did get today is a mouse mat for the time being. We're getting a big Anfield Agenda one, but I wanted one because yesterday the noise of the mouse on the table was really frustrating me. So Ryan said, first ever super chat, been quietly watching each stream for years now. Seeing you yesterday, happy with your new studio, brought a smile to my face. Would you take a player like Somerville? So I'm probably in the minority, but I've always said I don't think Somerville's good enough for us, to be quite frank. But maybe others think differently. It just doesn't excite me, Ryan. And there are players that I've been wrong about before that have come in that haven't excited me. I mean, if I'm giving you full honesty, I wasn't exactly blown away when we signed Mohamed Salah, and I think it's fair to say I was wrong about that one because he went quite well. But it depends on the fee, and I just don't think so. I think there are better options out there for us. But thank you so much. I'm so honoured to be your first super chat as well, my man. Appreciate you. It really does. Yeah, it means it's special when someone's first super chat. Don't worry about Iraola being a head coach instead of a traditional manager. Do you worry about Iraola being a head coach instead of a traditional manager? No, Derek, not at all. I look at it like this. He's coming into a new environment. I'm personally a big fan of the 2-year contract idea because his reasoning behind it is that he wants to earn every new deal and he wants the club to feel comfortable that he's doing a good job. But the title of head coach over manager, I think people look into it too much. Ultimately, if he has some success, if he comes in and Liverpool do well, move up that league table, get into the knockout stages of the cup competitions or the latter stages of them, and then when his next contract renewal comes around, I'm sure he'll probably get given a little bit more scope and a little bit more influence. Again, a good example is probably looking at Arteta at Arsenal. He came in as a head coach, but as he proved to the club that he can continue to develop the team, push it forward, he got a little bit more leeway. Actually, on Arsenal, did you guys see that they've now sacked their first team doctor? Which I'm sure somebody can tell me the reasoning behind it, but it sounds a little bit vicious that one day after season ends, bang, you're fired. So yeah, happy days. Happy days if you're anybody but him, I guess. But interesting one on that. But yeah, I know a lot of people are making a big deal out of the head coach versus manager thing, but it's more common these days than you think. There's very few managers left out there because for us, well, the model is, as I've said before, the sporting director is supposed to be the stability at the club. And if a head coach needs to be changed, then the idea in theory is that it isn't as much of a big issue. But, I'm excited. That's all I can say, Derek, man. I'm excited about Iraola coming in. I'm excited about the new season. And I absolutely cannot wait for pre-season because now we'll get to have a look at him working with those fringe players and those young players who maybe get a chance to re-establish their Liverpool careers or put themselves in the manager's thinking ahead of the new season. And on that, actually, let's look at the list today. So Liverpool put out the list of released players, released academy players, and the ones that they've given academy contract offers to. So obviously first team players who are moving on: Ibrahim Konate, Andy Robertson and Mohamed Salah. No surprises there. The academy players, though, that have been, well, I don't want to say terminated because that feels a little bit final, but the academy players who will be leaving the club are Jacob Poitras, DJ Bernard, Reece Williams, Terence Miles, Emmanuel Araboma, Josh Davidson, James Balgisi, Kareem Ahmed and Oakley Cannonier. They've all been confirmed by Liverpool today as departing the club. There have been contract offers made to Maddie Wright, to Prince Kobe, to Prince Kobe Cisse, to Lucas Pitt, to Ben Truman, Kyle Kelly, Follow Anangua, Ollie O'Connor and Kerry Figueroa. So they've all been given contract offers from the academy to continue with their Liverpool careers, and it must be a tough decision to make, especially when you've got kids, some of them who've been at the club since the ages of 7 or 8. The final step is the most difficult one to make in professional football, which I know is stating the obvious, but it is to make that jump from under 18, under 21 into the first team. Very few actually manage to do it. But will Sabrina still bring you drinks out there? Don't you worry, Carl. I've got myself sorted, mate. I'm not even joking. I've got a fridge over there. It's an actual little Diet Coke fridge with 40 cans of Diet Coke in it. So I'm all good. I don't need her to bring me out anything now. The problem will come if I need a toilet break, because there's no toilet in the studio. So I'll have to leg it down to the house. But I can probably count on one hand the amount of times we've done that over the time we've been streaming. Theo said, hey Craig, personally I would like Angelo Stiller and Alex Scott to replace Maka and Curtis Jones. As for the wingers, Diamonde and Trincao would be perfect in my opinion. Much love and nice idea with the clock. Thank you, my man. I would be more than happy with those midfield options as well. I'm a fan of Angelo Stiller. I know somebody informed me that he started this season with an injury, but I think as the season's gone on, he's shown his worth. I was concerned at one point that maybe Real Madrid could be a problem there, but it doesn't look like they're going to move for Stiller. So somebody's going to get a bargain. Let's see if it's Liverpool or not. The Alex Scott thing, though, I mean, I don't know how seriously to take the numbers that are being bandied around, but, 85 million just feels insane, for Alex Scott. So here, anything Liverpool said, Bournemouth value sought after midfielder Alex Scott around the £80 million mark and are determined to keep him this summer. Scott is emerging as a target for Liverpool and Manchester United. However, Bournemouth do not want to sell, according to Alex Crook. Also here from Fabrizio Romano, he said new contract proposal from Bournemouth to Alex Scott includes the possibility to include a release clause. So obviously, in doing that, they would want to try and guarantee him at least one more year there with them. So the release clause, you would imagine, will only kick in next summer, if indeed that is agreed. There's also been a bit of news today about a youngster that Liverpool look to have lost out on, and that is Kenneth Eichhorn of Hertha Berlin. Florian Plettenberg earlier on today said this: rejection in the last few hours. Despite Liverpool's intensive efforts, Hertha Berlin gem Kenneth Eichhorn will not join the Reds. Eichhorn wants to stay in Germany. Leverkusen are pushing hard for a permanent deal. As revealed last night, Leipzig also remain hopeful. The 16-year-old has decided against the move to England, even though Liverpool's offer was the most attractive at first glance, both financially and in terms of the club's structure and stature. The offer from Liverpool was higher than those in German clubs competing for him. And I get it. Look, if a player wants to stay there and continue his development in the country that he feels comfortable in at 16 years of age, I mean, what can you say to that? You can't really get too upset about it. People I've spoken to, though, really do believe this kid is super, super talented, and whoever gets him is getting one hell of a player. So you can see why Liverpool were looking and working so hard to try and get him signed up. I wanted Alvarez to come to Liverpool and would have preferred him to Isak, but it wasn't meant to be. I'm the same, dude. I'm the very, very same. You can watch back any of our streams from last summer. I was saying the same. Julian Alvarez was my number one target if we could get a striker in from anywhere. But I always felt like a move back to the Premier League was one that he wasn't really fond of. There was plenty of reports as well about Arsenal being interested. But right now, well, there's a bit of I would say a bidding war, but it's more Atletico Madrid trolling Real Madrid and Barcelona. I'm not sure if you've seen the posts today, but let me take you through it. So this was initially Real Madrid's official club announcement. They put out this post that read, Real Madrid announces that following today's board of directors meeting, it has made an offer of €150 million to Club Atletico de Madrid for the federative rights of player Julian Alvarez. After studying and evaluating it, Atletico de Madrid has thanked the club for its offer, made within the framework of good relations existing between both clubs, and has rejected it, referring to the player's release clause. But it went a little bit differently from the Atletico Madrid side. So first of all, they put up some laughing face emojis, and then Atletico Madrid released their own statement, and their own statement is an absolute belter. So it said this, Atletico Madrid's statement following the €150 million bid from Real Madrid for Julian Alvarez. Number one, you cut the video of the Pope where he said he was also an Atleti fan. Number two, you must be confused ethics with gratitude, but leave no doubt we didn't thank you for anything. Number three, we're not studying nor considering any offer for Julian. And number four, how could we, Madrid, not get along when you make us laugh even more than Barcelona? Now, I have to say, folks, that's standing ovation shit from me. That's absolutely top-notch trolling from Atletico Madrid. And I, for one, am here for it. Hi Craig, tried to pick 3 to sell, 3 to sign. Thanks. Yeah, sounds like a fun game. Let's go with that. So 3 to sell. Let's start with Alexis McAllister, Curtis Jones, because Curtis seems like he wants to move away. So Alexis McAllister, Curtis Jones, and honestly, Gakpo for the right number. I don't think we are going to sell Gakpo, but this is my game, Dexter, as you said. So I would sell those 3. And to replace them or to bring in, I would like Yan Diamonde. I'm warming to the idea of this youngster from Lille that we're speaking about, but I'm still doing my research. So let's say I'll stick to my old 2 for now. Diamonde, Jared Bowen, and then who else would I like to see Liverpool bring in? Do you know what? If we're getting rid, I'd like to see... I go back and forth between the idea of Alex Scott and Stiller, but I think ultimately there's better value in Stiller. So I might say Stiller. But 3 isn't going to cut the mustard because we need 5, in my opinion. So I don't think we should sell 5, but I think we need to bring in at least 5. So if I can change the question a little bit, I'm going to give you 5 incomings I'd like to see. So if we sell Gakpo, I'd like to see Liverpool try to get Barcola and go balls out to try and do it. Barcola and Diamonde would be absolutely epic. And then, of course, you could bring in somebody more versatile that can play right across the front 3 as well. So that's 2 wide players. And let's say the kid Fernandez Pardo from Lille. So that's 3. Into midfield then, Stiller, Scott. I would have liked Mateus Fernandez, but that price tag's an absolute joke. And then there's a few others that we've been linked with, but I can't really put too much meat on the bones for. The Wharton stuff seems to have died down a little bit, but again, I can't say it's fully gone away. Right back's the interesting one, because there was a little bit of news today on Connor Bradley. So let me just read this out to you, and we can take it from there. I think it was David Lynch was speaking about Connor Bradley. It was David Lynch on the Substack. He said, it is understood that one of the priorities for Liverpool is right back. Duties on the right back position were shared between Joe Gomez, Dominic Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones, with nobody nailing down the position. Fortunately, senior Anfield figures insist that they've learned lessons from that and will take steps to ensure the head coach does not face a similar scramble this season. There's also a piece that said that they expect Connor Bradley to start training at the end of pre-season or just as the season starts. So I don't think we're going to be able to start the season with Connor Bradley. So whoever comes in will get the opportunity to be the starting right back, at least as the season gets underway. It is a position, though, I've got to be honest with you, I'm not really seeing too many names thrown around for it. So any suggestions you guys have for a conversation or anything like that, bring it on. Do you think there's a premium for English players as they need a number of homegrown players in our squad? We have no players who start for England. Yes, there's always going to be a premium for homegrown English players. And then if you throw into that buying Premier League club to Premier League club, Colzer, there's always a premium. Some of the players we're being linked to, though, would be able to help us out in that regard. So Alex Scott, if he came in, immediately would help. Jared Bowen, although I don't think Liverpool will make that move, again would be one that would help. But I want to just make something really clear, because I think sometimes this causes a little bit of confusion. There isn't a rule that says you have to have the 8 English players or the 8 homegrown players in your squad. All it means is if you want the full 25-man complement, you can only have 17 non-homegrown players and 8 homegrown players. But let's say you only had 5 homegrown players. You can still have 5 homegrown players, 17 non-homegrown players, and 22 and supplement that with your underage players. So there is no hard and fast rule that says you have to have the 8 homegrown players. It just means if you want a full complement of a squad, you've got to include those 8. Craig, do you think Iraola was slight favourite over any other manager as Hughes is at Liverpool? I've spent a lot of time trying to find out exactly how we came to the conclusion about Andoni Iraola, and I read out the other night a story that goes all the way back to when he rejected Liverpool in 2013 when Brendan Rodgers was head coach. He sent a letter explaining his decision. Let me see if I still have it for you, and I'll read out a couple of paragraphs from it that I found absolutely fascinating. And it was a really good article written by Jonathan Northcroft in the Times that gave a great insight into why Liverpool were so impressed. So let's just find this 1 second. Just go through my notes here and get it for you. So, when renewing his contract with Athletic Club Bilbao after turning down Liverpool, Iraola sent Liverpool a letter explaining the reasons for his decision. Very few players, Jonathan writes, would ever bother doing that, and the letter's tone marked Iraola out as unusual as well. It said it was humble, generous and self-deprecating. He expressed his thanks for Liverpool's interest, his desire to one day play at Anfield. He went on to praise the current, or at the time, the current first choice right back Glenn Johnson, and quipped that he was surprised Liverpool were still interested after he had a bit of a nightmare performance against Malaga. He went on, or the piece went on to say, from that point, Edwards and Ward maintained links with Iraola. They often took note when the Spanish club started coaching, and then he went to Mirandes, got them to the semi-final of the Copa del Rey, went on then to Rayo Vallecano, did the same thing with Rayo Vallecano, and there was even discussions, they say, about sending some young Liverpool players, the likes of Sepp van den Berg, to Rayo Vallecano on loan when Iraola was there. So I actually don't think it's just Richard Hughes. It seems like Michael Edwards and Julian Ward were equally as impressed with Iraola at that time. So yeah, I think, you know, I won't lie, when I first seen the name as well, I was jumping to the conclusion, is this a lazy appointment? You know, is this just a handy one for Richard Hughes? But when you get this type of information, it really does help to join the dots, and it was a really interesting piece, and credit to Jonathan Northcroft for it. And thank you, Andrew, as well for the question, my man. Appreciate you. Do you think they promote Ramsey, Abe and Trey to the senior team? I don't think we can say anything as a matter of fact at the minute, other than they'll all get a chance in pre-season. And this is a great, great opportunity for these youngsters. Because one, you've got a pre-season with a new coach in. So whatever thought processes or whatever was in the mind of Arne before that, that's gone. So new coach in, and he already said in his first interview, and I found it really inspiring to hear, that he's looking forward to working with the fringe players, looking forward to working with the players who are coming up from the 18s and 21s, and this is their chance to impress them. I suppose you throw in Harvey Elliott as well into that mix as somebody who Liverpool could see, you know, get another opportunity. But yes, you have to say, you know, any of those players will have a chance if they can impress them, because the senior players, particularly the ones that go deeper into the competition, the World Cup, they're not going to be coming back for any of the American pre-season tour. So it'll probably be the games against Monaco and Como that we see some of the more senior players. Does Rio count as homegrown yet, or for this new season? He's under 18, so I don't think you have to include him as anything. I think he can come in as one of the under 21 players in the squad, so you wouldn't have to use up a homegrown place for him. But yes, he will be homegrown, but I think because he's still under 21, I think he can come in under that profile. But I would expect a new contract for him quite soon. You know, the contract that he's currently on, I don't think he's going to be sticking on that one too much longer. Josh, how are we, Josh? Said, hey, Craig, my first super chat. I love your content. Thank you, man. I hope you have a good season and we start playing good football. We love you, Liverpool, and hope your family are all good. Thank you, my man. It's always, like I said earlier on, Josh, it's so humbling to be somebody's first super chat. So I really, really do appreciate that. And I love the city of Liverpool dearly, my man. So thank you very much. And I hope you continue to enjoy the channel as we go along. I'm looking forward to our first watch-alongs and stuff as well, because I've got a much bigger TV now to watch them on, and I think it'll be an interesting change for me because of all this space now. I can stand up if I need to, whereas when I was in the other green screen setup, I couldn't. So now, this table probably doesn't do justice to how big it is. It's about 8.5, 9 foot wide, and it's about 6 foot deep. It is a monster of a table. Dare I say, you could even see me dancing on it if we win the Premier League. Oh, you could see me trying to dance on it and fall through it. That's probably more likely. Although the weight loss journey has gone well so far, but still plenty to go. Richard, how are you, my friend? Said, hey, Craigie. I love that. I love when anyone throws a Y or an O at the end of my name. Craigo is one that I would probably prefer if we're being pedantic about it. But Richard, thank you, my man. Said, hey, Craig, sorry joined late. Are you going to keep the graphics on screen for game days? Also, man, I want Schlotterbeck and Diamonde. Yes, absolutely. So we'll have the scoreboard, the clock, and we do have an overlay that we can use for certain streams as well. Just at the start, I wanted to show you as much as I could on screen before we started to fill in and around it. But yeah, of course, we're going to be keeping those overlays because it's important to get the information across to you guys as well. And as you can see in the bottom corner, we now have our clock because this show is not the Late Night Agenda anymore. It's now the 100. Right, what else have we got? So Craigie it is then. Craig, oh, look, you guys know I've certainly been called a lot worse in here by people, so all good, my man, all good. You call me whatever you like. You're the bosses, as I keep saying, so I'm here to try to please. It still feels so overwhelming being in this space, though. I'm sorry I keep rabbiting on about it, but you know me, I'm a creature of habit, and it takes me probably about a month to feel comfortable in a new room, so yeah, it's going to take me a bit of getting used to. Craig Meister. Yeah, Craig Meister's a bit, I don't know about that one. That's even for me, that's a bit cheesy. I'm trying to think of nicknames. I didn't really have nicknames growing up, to be honest with you. My name doesn't really lend itself to nicknames. Craig rhymes with The Hague. Well, hopefully Craig never ends up at The Hague, mate. If I've ended up at The Hague for a war crime or something, then something's gone very wrong somewhere along the line. Actually, did you guys see some more of this nonsense around the World Cup? It's starting to get out of hand now, some of the stuff that's happening around the World Cup. Let me just get this open and see if I have it here in my notes. No, it's not here. There's more shenanigans going on at the World Cup. They've now stopped... they've cancelled all of the Iranian fans' tickets. So each country gets 8% of a ticket allocation for every stadium that they play in. And the Iranian tickets were cancelled today. So anybody that's either travelled over there or going over there has bought their tickets, all that stuff. Not anymore. And you've probably seen some of the other stories doing the rounds as well. The referee from Somalia, he wasn't allowed in, even though he's one of the highest rated referees in Africa. So yeah, it's just FIFA need to get their finger out here and start answering some questions, because this World Cup isn't shaping up as smoothly as it should. Why the name change? Maybe I'm just used to it, but I prefer the Late Night Agenda. That's just my opinion. Loving the new studio. It's just an idea I had. It isn't too deep, and like I said, if people don't like it, we can get rid of it. But it was just something that I thought of maybe a couple of months ago, and I just thought it would be an interesting way to shake it up a little bit. Because one of the most frequent questions that I get asked by people when they come in is, how long are you streaming for? You know, how much longer is left on the stream? So I thought with the clock there in the corner counting down, it kind of lets people know. And maybe for Connor as well, if he's trying to skip through, it might help him out. But if it's something that people don't like, we are more than open to changing it. You know, we want to keep you guys happy. You're the boss. So it's something we can probably do a poll with or something like that at some point. But for now, if you could just, humour me for now and see how it settles in. If you don't like it after a month or so, we can look to change it again. FIFA said it's not their issue with immigration. So with regards to the referee, that's a lazy arse way for them to say it. But with regards to the fans from Iran and the allocation of their tickets, I just, you can't say it's great. Do you know what I mean? It's not great. And I don't remember these type of issues really being around for previous World Cups. So it just all feels a little bit unfortunate for the World Cup. And even, I think, I might be wrong on this, but I think I seen something that said even the Iranian national team are only allowed in on the day of their game. And they have to leave again on the day of their game. It's just, I don't know. You know, I don't like to see politics creeping its way into sport. And unfortunately, under Gianni Infantino's leadership, FIFA has really gone down that route. Craig's countdown. Can I have a consonant, please? Oh, I'm shocking at spelling this stuff. I was way better with the numbers. Way better with the numbers. I'll have one from the top and 4 small ones, please. Carol? How well do you think Wirtz will perform under Iraola? Well, that's a question that I think I've asked myself many times. And truth is, I don't know. Because I'm still, like somebody said to me yesterday, maybe they can see a world where Wirtz operates in off the left-hand side under Iraola. And without knowing exactly how he thinks of each player, it's tough to know. But I would say, George, is there is no hiding place left now for Isak and for Wirtz. Wirtz had the first season to settle in, and I promised all the way through the season that I was giving him the first season to settle in. Same with any other player that came in from a new league. Isak was a little bit different, of course, because he had some injuries and stuff. But for Wirtz, it's time to start proving why you're a £115 million player, and I do hope we see him really kick on this season, because we can't afford to not get these big money signings right. And when you throw the amount of money we have, like what was it, 125 million for Isak, but Newcastle got 130 because I think Isak had a 5 million quid bonus that he waived or something. On top of that, then you have the deal for Wirtz, which will rise up to something like 116 million. So that's a lot of money. Like, that's 240 million pound. You can't, there's no wiggle room in those type of transfers. You have to get it right. And it's up to Wirtz now to step up. And I do hope under Iraola he'll gain some more confidence. But it's a big season in that regard, definitely. And, you know, if he's not pulling up any trees by midway through the season, I will, for the first time there, probably start to feel a little bit more nervy. What do you guys think, though? I mean, let me ask this as a poll question. 1 second. Right, so what I'm going to ask you is, are you worried about Wirtz being a success? Yes or no? So I batted away any question around that over the first season by saying, no, it's his first season in, he deserves time to settle in. But I can't say that it was an incredible first season, it wasn't. But I do think he still did a lot of good things. And look, some of his numbers off the ball and the distances he covered, I think he was probably not getting some of the credit because our performances overall weren't great. But I do think he put in some decent shifts over the course of the season, but we didn't really get the returns, goal and assist wise, that we'd maybe hoped for. So we'll check back in on that poll in a little bit and see what you guys think. Hopefully Andoni can bring out Newlon next season. Oh yeah. We need a bit more Newlon. We haven't had enough of Newlon. So yes, more goals. I mean, there is one thing, folks, I have to say concerns me about Iraola coming in, and it's only concerned me because I found something out the other day when I was reading through some of the numbers. We had a problem defending set pieces. You know, we were shockingly bad this season, conceding from set pieces. And I'm not talking about penalties. I'm talking about free kicks, corners, throw-ins, stuff like that. And the team that were the next worst to us were Bournemouth. So that does concern me. And I hope that maybe with a higher calibre of defender, that Iriola can fix that, because we can't be as easy to score against from set pieces next season. But that is certainly one area for me that I have some concern over Iriola and the Liverpool setup. Just hire a specialist set piece coach, end of. I mean, I think there is one coming in. You know, Liverpool are still trying to negotiate the departure of some of the staff from Bournemouth. There was one or two that are out of contract with Iriola, but there's still, I think, 3 there under contract with Bournemouth that Liverpool ideally would like to bring in. Back to 4-3 and 5-4 games. Well, look, honestly, I prefer them. Like, I know a 2-0 win and control is great and all, but I like emotionally led football. So yeah, give me the 4-3s, the 4-2s, the 5-3s, the high scoring crazy games. So yeah, I'm on board. What's the clock for? It's just to count down how long's left on the stream, pretty much. You know, the show's now going to be called the 100, and the countdown clock starts after I do my intro, so everybody knows how long is left on the stream. Doesn't mean we have to be hard and fast, you know. If we're still having a bit of fun and the clock ends, you know, we can keep chatting, but it's just an idea that I came up with a couple of months ago, and just wanted to give it a try. So, Carl said, do you think Jones is too negative as a footballer? Negative? No, not at all. That's not a word I would use to describe Curtis Jones as a footballer one bit. Greedy? Perhaps. But negative? No, absolutely not. I think Curtis Jones is a very front-footed player. In fact, Carl, one of the things that I've tried to give Curtis Jones a lot of credit for is that he doesn't hide out there on the pitch. He's always looking to make something happen, always looking to get the ball, always looking to progress. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't say he's a negative footballer. I just how do I say this without being a dick? I don't know if he's as good as he thinks he is in his own mind, but he is still a good player. I don't ever see a world where he starts for Liverpool on a regular basis in the midfield. But I also think that the asking price, Carl, that Liverpool have set for Curtis Jones is more than fair. You know, 30 million euro or 25 million pound, even if it's 35 million euro and 30 million pound, that's more than fair. You were getting somebody coming into their prime who was tried and tested at the highest level, who was come up through the Liverpool system the whole way there, and you'll get them for about 25 million pound. Yes, he has 1 year to go on his deal, which is why you're getting him for that. But I really don't get Inter Milan trying to nickel and dime on this one. It feels like if you want him, you're still getting a bargain. Even if you meet in the middle with Liverpool, you're still getting a bargain. So let's wait and see what happens. But it does still feel like he's destined to leave, unless there's a conversation takes place between himself and Iriola where, you know, Iriola says to him, look, you're going to be a big part moving forward. But for that to happen, there has to be a contract extension, because Liverpool can't go into the season and face down the barrel of another player leaving us for nothing. Because as it's contracted at the minute, Curtis Jones, Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson Becker, Costas, all out of contract at the end of next season. And you can't let all of those guys just walk out the door for nothing. We're getting too many of those. Josh said, hey Craig, I just want to apologise to anyone to think that I didn't want to respond to people who were saying nice things with my first super chat. I didn't mean to ignore people. I'm new to super chat. Josh, you've got nothing to apologise for, my man. What you will find about the people in the chat, mate, is that they're absolutely lovely people, and you can't respond to everyone, dude, but I'm sure people absolutely appreciate the kind-heartedness of your gesture there, dude, and thank you from me as well. Appreciate you. Right, so LFC, what's this one? I can't read that name, it's too far away from me, but I can read your comment. Craig, looking ahead here, but there is a left back at Lorient getting a lot of attention called Arsene. I don't know who he is. I don't know if you're baiting me with that name or if it's a genuine one, but I've no idea who he is. So, you know, for me, I can't really add anything to the conversation. Yeah, sorry. Left back, look, I think the plan is to go in with Costas as things stand, but to me, that's just not good enough. I don't think Costas is good enough to come in there. So, yeah. Did he miss my gifted memberships? I perhaps did, my man. Let me scroll back up, and I will see if I can find him and say thank you to you. 1 second. The gifted memberships one is a more difficult one for me to spot, actually, because on our system they don't show up on our back end system that we have, so I have to go through the old YouTube chat, and I can't see them there at the minute. So if I did miss them, my friend, thank you, and I certainly didn't mean to ignore your generosity. Cecilia Bambolina, how are you, my friend? I hope you and your partner are well. Love your studio. I do miss 20 Diogo on your wall, but then again, we have to move on after all. World Cup, all I care about is our players not getting injured. I'm with you with regards to the World Cup and the players not getting injured. On the Diogo thing, happy to put something in for Diogo. Of course I am. The reason that I haven't actually got anything is I have a signed and framed Diogo Jota shirt hanging in my living room. It takes pride of place in my living room alongside a Virgil van Dijk one and some Istanbul memorabilia. But we will pick up something for the studio. You know, we're just still trying to figure out how everything looks, where to place it. But leave that one with me. Of course, we want to have a memory for Diogo. It would be silly not to. But yeah, we will absolutely get something sorted out. Maybe I can find a nice little painting or something like that I can put over here on the table. Bragix said, hey Craig, this super chat comes from your very own fan group here in Iceland. Oh days, wow. We're 11 members strong and love to watch your streams together at a local pub called Oliver. Lots of love from Iceland. That is so cool. Honestly, to all of you, thank you so much. Oh, that is so sweet. All I know of Iceland, to be honest with you, is there was a gentleman called Coppice that I used to interact with on Twitter all the time, and he lived over in Iceland. And all I remember was he used to post up some video of one of his kids playing in a local league, and all I remember is the backdrop to these pitches being absolutely sensationally beautiful. And I said to my wife at the time, Iceland has to go on our bucket list of places to go to, but do you know what? I'd honestly love to come over to Iceland and say hi to all of you guys in person. So if that's something we can make happen, let's do it, because any reason to travel, any excuse, I'm all for it. And to think that there's 11 of you guys sitting there tuning into the streams, that means more than you'll ever know. So to all of you and to everybody in that Ivor pub, or is it Oliver? I think it's Ivor. Thank you so much to all of you for your support. It really means the world. If you could sign 4 players for next season, who? Greedy Pants time? Diamande, Barcola. I mean, I'd like Schlotterbeck, but the more I've looked into Inacio, the more I think I'd understand him. Lacroix, another interesting one. So let's say 1 centre-back. I'm going to say Schlotterbeck because he would be my preference. 2 wide players. And then in midfield, I flirt between a few ideas around midfielders. So let me run through a list that we went through the other day that Liverpool have been at least credited with a passing interest in, because as each day goes by, I find one day I'm leaning in one direction, another day in another direction. But let me just go through this list of names here for you. So Wharton is one name. Then we have Kamara from Monaco, another name, Sangar. So obviously there could be some value in the French players, in the from the French league, I mean. So the likes of Kamara and Sangar, there could be some value there. But I'm not somebody who spent a lot of time watching them, so I have to kind of go off what others say. On top of that, then there was Mateus Fernandez. His name was on the list. A bit of a blast from the past, but Alan Varela, his name was still being mentioned. Of course, Alex Scott from Bournemouth, his name has come up. Angelo Stiller. We were credited with an interest in Elliot Anderson. Then there's Sandro Tonali and Kefren Thuram. So they're the names that have been kind of thrown around a little bit. On that list for me, look, honestly, give me Tonali. Give me Tonali and I'd be more than happy. It's not going to happen, but Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, one of those 2 deep-lying Newcastle players, and I do think they rotate that position. But it's hard to know, because is Iriola going to want, somebody just to shield the defence, or is he going to want somebody to kind of dictate the tempo of the game? So without knowing wholeheartedly which one of those he thinks he's short of, I probably would still edge towards the likes of Tonali. but I just don't see it being possible. But you did ask for my list, so Tonali, Barcola, Diamonde and Schlotterbeck would be the 4 for me. But I don't. I just don't think we're going to have a chance to get Tonali. I think it'd just be too much money, and also Newcastle wouldn't really want to deal with us again, would they? Why don't we buy Tyler Adams? Used to his system and would be cheap. Again, all I can say is that isn't the name that I've personally seen brought up in conversation or been told about, but I did see an interview with Tyler Adams actually talking about Andoni Iraola and what he was asking of him and Alex Scott, and full of compliments as well for the gaffer. So, I just don't know is the answer. And if anybody does tell you they know, then send them in my direction, because I'd love to know who we're looking at in midfield as well. Love the studio. Wirtz or Coutinho? Thoughts? Or do you mean Wirtz as in will become our Coutinho? Because yes, absolutely, he could play that role. Look, Florian Wirtz, to me, when I think of him and what makes him a special player, it's finding little pockets of space between the lines. It's been able to chip in with goals and assists. It's been able to have those little flicks, the little touches, the little movements that are going to help us to unpick a low block and a defence that sits back deep. We just didn't see enough of that in his first season, and I'm definitely expecting him to kick on in season 2. Also, though, I want to see if he's going to turn Harvey Elliott into a Justin Kluivert. Somebody who maybe started his career in a wide area, but then progressed in to become a bit more of a number 10. And that's a position that I think is one Harvey Elliott naturally could fulfill. Because much like Wirtz, he's brilliant at finding pockets of space between the lines. Now, he isn't blessed with enough pace to be a winger for me, Elliott. But I can't ram this home enough. He's our player. He's already ours. We don't have to go out into the market to try and build out the squad. We have somebody right there who's a Liverpool fan, and we've got a new coach. Why not give him the opportunity to at least show what he can do in pre-season before we have to, throw money at the situation? So for me, I'd love Elliott to get a crack there as well. Richard said, Craig Dino, when are you going to come to Toronto? We have the worst World Cup stadium this year, but one of the best LFC fan bases. I'm booked in. I'm in Toronto, mate. We're heading over on a family holiday from the 28th of September to the, I can't remember what date, or is it the 22nd to the 2nd? We're over there for 10 days from the 28th. Anyway, that's maybe it's the 28th to the 6th. But yeah, we're over there. So if you're in and around Toronto downtown between the 28th and the 2nd in particular, let me know. Because myself, my wife, my son, and I think Brian's brother and Brian's brother's wife are all going to be there. So, you won't have to look hard for me in Toronto. It's it's somewhere that I'm really excited to get back to. Unfortunately for me, though, I was looking. There's no MLS game on when I'm over there. Toronto are away that week. The only thing that I think is on is an American football game, whatever the Canadian or the Toronto team is, the Argonauts. Is that what they're called? So yeah, that was the only thing I'd seen, because I was looking for things that I could go and watch or events that I could take in. But any feedback or help from a local would very much help. We're staying. Where are we staying? We're staying at One Key West. That's the place that we're staying actually in downtown Toronto. I'd like to see Núñez and Elliott back. I don't share your enthusiasm for Núñez, although I understand why people would. For me, I'm very much in the camp of he was here, it didn't work. He went to Saudi, it didn't work. No, thank you. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And thankfully, I've also not really seen it being talked about as a credible option for Liverpool. It's just a fan thing. And I get it. I totally do get it. There's a lot of people that just love Darwin Núñez, and I don't want to try and crush that, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But the Elliott one's a little bit different, of course, because he is already our player. And, I'm also a bit dubious about the idea of Al Hilal just ripping that contract up and saying off you pop, because let's say, argument's sake, Darwin Núñez came to Liverpool. So we've just sold him to them for, I think it was about 70 million quid, and then got him back for nothing. They'd look a little bit foolish. But you know who I seen him linked with today? Barcelona. genuinely, I've seen a link to Barcelona and Darwin today because they think he could be a cost-effective way to try and replace some of the attributes or some of the minutes of Robert Lewandowski, who, of course, is leaving. So, maybe he ends up in Barca. And actually, I think La Liga would work for him. I know where was he before? I can't remember what club he was at when he was in La Liga at one point. But yeah, that's the only things I've seen. So, have we officially made any bids for players? Not that I'm aware of, but we're closing in on one. So let me just read this out to you, because it comes from Romano, and he's certainly got a better idea of this than I do. So Romano said this on his podcast about Yan Diamonde. He said Liverpool are really pushing for Yan Diamonde and are insisting to make it happen. They're offering important money to the player to get a deal done. On the other side, Paris Saint-Germain are also keen, but it depends on what happens with Bradley Barcola, with Gonzalo Ramos and with Kang-in Lee. Players have to leave PSG, while Liverpool have already got some space with, of course, Mohamed Salah moving on. So I think that is what Liverpool are trying to capitalise here, is to get this deal done, if indeed they can, as quickly as possible before Paris Saint-Germain get a chance to get their ducks in a row. And as I was saying to you guys the other day, for me, what I would be doing here is saying, look, we can guarantee you football. We can guarantee you straight into the team. We have a space for exactly you. You are the number one target. When we knew Mohamed Salah was going to depart, everybody here unanimously said, let's go get Yan Diamonde. He's the guy. He's the guy who can come and be the next superstar. That's the type of pitch that I'd be putting to him if I was the club. Whereas with Paris Saint-Germain, well, you can easily say to him, they've got players like Kavisha Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola, and those guys are going to be at least ahead of you in the pecking order for now, or competition for you. But us, we can give you a here and now position. So I do think we're in a strong negotiating position for him. But is it weird that I'm actually more concerned about Leipzig keeping him for another year than I am about anybody else gazumping us to the transfer? Because if I push aside my Liverpool adoration and my excitement over him, if I was him or I was representing him, I probably would tell him to hang on one more season with RB Leipzig, get that release clause put into your contract, get another season under your belt, and then make the move. But, obviously I'm a Liverpool fan, so I hope he does make the move right now. Would you do business if Madrid offer 150 million for Dom? No, for two reasons. One, I think we look like an absolute tin pot shower of clowns if we allowed Madrid to come in and bully us out of what is, let's be honest, one of our star players. What Liverpool should be doing, and I hope are doing, Corbin, is leaving no stone unturned trying to get Dominic Szoboszlai tied up to a new deal. Because, let's be honest, we all have nothing but high hopes for Dom. I'd be a liar if I told you I'm not concerned, but I just wonder right now, is he in their list of priorities? So if I'm Liverpool, I'm looking to capitalise on the fact that they're looking for wide players. They're looking for a deeper lying midfielder at the minute. And then I'm saying, look, Dominic, I know you love Real Madrid. I know you love the idea of someday playing there, because he does. There's no point in denying that. But do you want to play on the Mourinho? Is that the Madrid that you want to go and play with? Because he's not going to get the best out of you. Whereas somebody like Andoni Iraola, who plays on the front foot, he'd absolutely be chomping at the bit to work with you. So if I'm Liverpool, I'm trying hard to get him a contract extension. But no, I wouldn't do business at 150 million. And I'm not trying to be facetious in saying that. I wouldn't, because he's worth more than that to us. Let's say we sold him, who are we going to replace him with? And anybody we did bring in to replace them, if they know we've just gotten 150 million quid or are likely to get 150 million quid, they're going to, they're going to get the lube out, aren't they? Evening, anything going on regarding transfers? It's fairly quiet, but I don't want to say there's nothing going on, because we are pushing really hard on Diamonde. I think that is Liverpool's number one top priority at the minute, is to try and get that deal done. And to try and get it done quickly before anybody else comes in and maybe steals a march on us. So how much longer perhaps Liverpool are going to keep trying to get this done early, I don't know. But that's the one that I would say most of the attention is on now. So on the Scott thing, does anybody actually think Alex Scott is worth 80 million quid? I don't even think Bournemouth think he's worth 80 million quid. So if we are to move for him, I certainly expect a number that Liverpool will be talking about to be considerably less than 80 million quid. So we did ask you guys earlier on, have you got any worries about Florian Wirtz being a success? We will check back in on that. We're just heading towards just over 1,400 votes on it at the minute. Keane said Scott is worth somewhere from 40 to 50 million. I think that's about right. Yeah, I think that feels about right. I can't remember what they paid Bristol when they brought him in, but even the upper end of that, Keane, 50 with a few add-ons, I'd be happy with that because I understand they're going to want a premium. And also being over there training with the England team, I know he's not in the squad for the World Cup, but that will add some value because it gives more credibility to his quality as a player. So, yeah, look, Alex Scott would be great, but I don't know. It could happen, it could not happen. I really wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you with any level of confidence, but the interest seems genuine. And like I said the other day, I really can't get the whole thing about Ekitike liking his post out of my head. Maybe I'm overthinking that, I probably am, but it's exciting. Martin said, I want to see how we play before I start believing. I was so close there, Martin, to start bursting into a Don't Stop Believing melody, but I won't do that to your eardrums, bro. I get it. I totally get it. I don't know how much of this is my excitement of Donny Iraola coming in and how much of it is a relief that we know it's not going to be Arne Slot's the football for next season. But I don't know, man. I'm all in. I am. I said it last night. I'm going to reiterate it now. I'm all in. I'm buzzing for Iraola to come in because he's hitting all the marks for me. When I seen his first interview, bang, said everything I wanted to hear. Just even looking at his body language, the way he's hands-on on the training pitch. I'm ready to fall in love again, Martin. I'm ready. And also, I know we're talking about Alex Scott here and the 80 million, but do you think that's a real number? Or do you think that's just Bournemouth trying to warn people off? Because I don't think deep down they think he's worth 80 million quid. I think they probably think that's a bit fanciful. Because even if you're looking experience-wise, you know, the players who are commanding that big fee have been real standout players. So, like, obviously Declan Rice when he went to Arsenal, Caicedo then when he went to Chelsea and almost to Liverpool. Even if you're looking at Enzo Fernandez, those type of players, Elliot Anderson, who's probably going to go for in excess of 100 million or close to 100 million. I just don't think Scott is in that league of players yet. Sounds more like a deterrent fee. Could also be European football plus English tax for the lad. And it could also be a little warning to Liverpool. You know, don't come thinking you're going to just fleece a load of our players here from Bournemouth because you've got Richard Hughes there and Donny Iraola gone in. So, you know, could be a bit of that as well. Itachi said, evening everybody, I think we'll get to you Monday. Did you sleep well after the first stream of the new studio, my friend? Still proud of you. I didn't sleep well, but that had nothing to do with work. So every Monday, I inject myself with the Wegovy thing. And this Monday, I moved up to the next dosage amount. So you go up bit by bit every 4 weeks. You increase your dosage amount until you get up to the maintenance dose. So I knew when I took the injection on Monday, it's usually Tuesday and Wednesday of the week, I feel a bit dodgy when I go up another. And today's been one of those days. And last night was one of those nights where I don't want to be crass about it, but let's just say I was a frequent visitor to the bathroom. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit rough, but you know, being in here in the new studio, chatting with you guys does give me a little boost of energy. And thank you, my friend. You're always so kind. Nachos said, Craig, where did you get the replica trophy? So I've got a few different ones actually. So that one over there, the Champions League one, that's a resin trophy. So that's not metal. That's made of like a plasticky, heavy plastic. So that was, I bought them all from the same place, a company that do resin ones and they do metal ones, a company I found on eBay. So I bought a resin Premier League one and a resin Champions League one. But I travelled over to Liverpool for the end of season show that we did, and the Resin Trophy got broke, the Premier League one. So when we decided that, we were going to replace it, I went balls out and bought the metal one. And the metal one was about €2,500. And that one, I didn't feel right putting it in the scene at the start here because Arsenal have just won the Premier League. And I felt it would be a bit weird of me then, throwing a Premier League trophy in behind me. So that one, I think, was about £600 for the resin version of the Champions League one, and it has all the winners' names engraved into it and all as well. The Premier League one, though, that's a work of art, honestly. And it only really does itself justice when you lift it up and hold it and you feel, how heavy it is. And even the crown screws off it and stuff, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, I got them from a company from eBay, and they came from Hong Kong. And honestly, the whole process was super professional, super streamlined, and I was kept up to date in every step of the process from when it left Hong Kong, where it was coming in. They covered all the import fees and all that as well. Brilliant process. So sounding like I'm in the VAR hub here. Brilliant process, lads. Brilliant process all around. Have you ever done a cheeky Hendo shuffle? Yeah. I have, Goomy, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. So there was I think I've told you guys this. There was a while where that Premier League trophy just lived in my bedroom, and it was just on a little table beside my bed. So there was quite a long time where pretty much every night going to bed I kissed that trophy. And on a couple of occasions where I was feeling a little bit boisterous, yes, I did give it it was more of a truffle shuffle than a Hendo shuffle, but I gave it a go. Yeah, it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? I also have a Premier League winners medal, and I absolutely did not wear that to bed at any point. Never happened. Definitely didn't. Whoever tells you it did is a liar. I hope Elliott stays for squad depth. The asking price for Wharton is really 100 million. I'd rather use the Macca Jones money for Scott and Kamara. I'm the same. I can't fathom 100 million for Adam Wharton. That's mental. He's a 60 million quid footballer, 65 million quid max. Like, it feels like people have just lost their damn mind in the transfer market now. Like, any semi-decent player, they're asking just ridiculous money. And look, I like Wharton as a footballer. Not as much as Keane does. Keane, our chief moderator, loves him. He's got his Wharton pyjamas on at home, his little Wharton slippers. And I've heard that he goes into work with an Adam Wharton mask on at times, but I couldn't, substantiate that. We'll have to let Keane tell us. But no, he's not a 100 million quid player. That's ridiculous. And with regards to Kamara and Senghor, those players, I don't really know that much about them because I don't watch much French football. But Bence, and I'll be recording with Bence and Lewis again on Thursday for another episode of the Anfield Agenda podcast. We're going to try and get stuck into where Liverpool can maybe look to get a few bargains this summer and the profile of players that maybe we should be looking at to build out the squad a little bit and, do so for a reasonable fee. I think Curtis could play a Scott role, in my opinion. He could, but, this isn't Liverpool looking to get rid of Curtis Jones. This is Curtis Jones seemingly wanting something new or wanting to be a guaranteed starter somewhere. And I get it. I get it from his side. I get it from the club side. But if Liverpool can't give him those guarantees, or at least can't give him enough guarantees to maybe keep him happy, we have to do something this summer. Because he's only got 1 year to go on his deal, and if he won't sign a new one or the club can't agree a new one, I think we just have to move on and we have to get what we can, which seemingly is about 25 million quid, 30 million quid, and go from there. But again, it's not Liverpool saying he isn't good enough. I think it's the player side that's driving this. And of course, Inter Milan, they're very interested. From what I was told, Jones sees this as an opportunity to maybe go over to Italy and do a Scott McTominay. Show that he was a player who never really got the credit that he deserved in the Premier League, but goes away there and shows in a technical league as well what he's all about. I think that's the theory behind it, but let's wait and see. There was also probably a world where he has a conversation with Adoni Iraola. Iraola maybe gives him some reassurances, and then maybe they talk new deal. But at this moment in time, if I was putting down 50 quid, I'd be pushing it towards the idea of him maybe leaving. Tobias, how are you, my friend? Said, who would you want, Wharton or Scott? Scott. Scott. But I wouldn't be displeased with Wharton. I think Scott for a couple of reasons. One, Andoni Iraola and the system, he knows it inside out. So that's one good thing. The price, look, if one's 100 and one's 80, they're both overpriced, and I don't think we should pay for either of them. But in that scenario, if we lost Mackett and Jones, I'd like to see one of Kamara or Sangar come in with somebody like an Alex Scott or Stiller or somebody of that mould. Wharton, I don't know, I've always had it in my head that it was the most Liverpool type signing to make, but again, let's see what happens at Crystal Palace, because they've got a new head coach coming in. They're in talks with Pierre Sage, I think it is, from Lens. So it looks like he could be Palace's new coach, and maybe that changes the perspective of some of those players. One name I was given this evening, though, to keep an eye on is Maxence Lacroix, the centre back from Crystal Palace. I know that we've been linked with him, but speaking to people just before I started the stream tonight, they said to me, this feels to us like he's a name worth keeping an eye on for Liverpool. The night script said Wirtz will be great. Wirtz will be great. Our annoying style in those 2 years playing with defenders did not help anybody, and him included. Imagine Isak, 7 touches all game. Yeah, there's a lot we need to get better this year, and I think we will. I really, really do. It feels like, at least within the fan base now, it feels like a proper reset this, and everyone's starting to feel a bit more excited. Now, look, it is a fair enough question to ask, will Iraola be able to make the step up? There's not many coaches that have made the moves up through the divisions or through the profiles of clubs in the Premier League, and have really been a success. I'm intrigued to see how Enzo Maresca gets on. If he comes into Manchester City and that's confirmed, I'm really intrigued to see how he gets on there after Pep Guardiola. Isak, look, we got to get the best out of him this year, and we need to bring in players that will help get him where he needs to be, which is in and around that 6-yard box. So big season, a lot of pressure on some of these signings that came in last year that didn't really pull up any trees, but I can't help but say I'm optimistic, dude. I am. I'm excited for the new season. I'm really intrigued to see the window and what it looks like for us, because we can't have a situation where more players leave the club than come in. We made that mistake last year, and I think it cost us over the course of the season. He'll get us playing better football at a minimum. Yeah, I agree with that one. Honest watch reviews, I agree with it, because it's just more suited to us. Like, I'd love to know. I'd love to have a one-on-one conversation with Arne Slot, even no cameras or anything, just to ask, what happened? What happened to the brand of football that we all were told he was statistically not a match for Klopp, but his ideology was similar to what we wanted to do, be a front foot pressing team. I really would love to sit down and ask him what happened there, because he really did leave that philosophy, in my view, and it happened probably to the latter part of the first season, and then the second season was just a complete shit show for a whole host of reasons. Did you see, though, actually, Feyenoord sacked their coach, Robin van Persie? So I'm not saying there's any chance Slot goes back there, but it's interesting that as soon as Slot leaves, then they go and sack Van Persie. Let's wait and see what happens there. Maybe something's already happened. I haven't been keeping an eye on it, but I thought it was an interesting one. Aaron, how are you, my friend? Said Craig, do you know what the plan is for Xhaka to start? Yes, I believe he's coming in to be the starting choice right back alongside Virgil van Dijk. That's at this moment in time anyway. Like, look at it logically. You've got Joe Gomez, who could move on this summer. If Liverpool can line up an adequate replacement and bring in somebody, I think Joe moves on. Then you've got Giovanni Leone, who's had 85 minutes of football and then a season-ending injury. So he's going to have to start building up game time. So it makes sense that it's going to be Van Dijk and Xhaka to me at the start of the season. And I really don't know all that much about Jeremy Xhaka, so I'm intrigued to see how he gets on and how quickly he settles in. Drew said, is in a world where Jones stays, I could see us only making 3 signings: Diamonde, Wharton and Schlotterbeck. Hope the release clause is true. Well, I've seen enough people mention the release clause for Schlotterbeck that I think there has to be some truth to it. And I'm talking about, good big journalists talking about it. I just wonder, are Real Madrid going to stick their nose in with Nico Schlotterbeck? That's something that I've seen reported today. Bill said Real Madrid are planning a contract offer for Nico Schlotterbeck. He has a release clause between 50 and 60 million. But let's say they do go out there and get in Schlotterbeck. So they've got Schlotterbeck, then they've also got young Dean Huyson. They've just brought in Ibrahim Kanade, or about to bring Kanade in. Can you keep all those happy as well as the other players? I don't know. But I fear we might lose Schlotterbeck to Real Madrid if they do make that move, because I think there's been some reports as well before about him liking the idea of going to Madrid. But then again, there was also some reports that said he was speaking with Florian Wirtz and was fond of the idea of coming to Liverpool. Another one from the newspaper today, a former, I guess, player of Andoni Iraola's. This piece here from the newspaper said Liverpool are among the front runners to sign Bournemouth winger RAYAN, with Andoni Iraola said to see the Brazilian as a potential long-term replacement for Mohamed Salah. However, a move this summer is considered unlikely, as the 19-year-old contract includes a £130 million release clause that will not become effective until January 2027. And I will personally hold a one-man protest if we pay 130 million quid for RAYAN. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but 130 million quid is just a ridiculous price. So if Liverpool are to try and get him, I would imagine it'll be for a far lower fee. I don't know what this "who cares" is about there in the chat. So I let somebody else explain that one to me. I just see somebody said "who cares?" ? I don't know what that's about, mate, so I can't really answer you. Let's talk about Palestra here. So Fabrizio Romano, speaking on, I think, his YouTube channel, said Marco Palestra to Newcastle not expected to happen despite interest and availability to pay what Atalanta requested. So they're holding out for about €50 million. The player has not opened the door to a move, while Inter Milan remain in talks for a €45 million package, but still not enough for Atalanta. It is mad the amount of lowballing that goes on from Italian clubs. Like, if you get to 45 million for somebody that's 50 million, are you really going to take the chance to lose them over that? Surely there's a way that you could get some common sense dealings and get that deal done. But I know a lot of people are hoping to hear of Liverpool's name mentioned there. From my information at this moment in time, I don't have anything on it, but let me know what you guys think on it, because he's definitely a player worth us being considering, but I just don't know. It's the honest answer. I have no idea on a few positions and what the likelihood of Liverpool looking to go after certain players are. Where are we? Set up a sweet, would love to see you in Toronto. So just message in, man, when I'm closer. Honestly, I've already said this to my wife, that there probably will be a time when we're in Toronto that I'll try and arrange a meet-up with some people. So just message back in a little bit closer, and I promise you, Josh, will try to make something happen. Why are we seemingly paying sky-high prices but selling our players at such low prices? So I don't think we are selling our players at low prices, really. Like, if you look at the Jones fee, well, the reason that fee is going to be so low is because of the contract situation and the fact that he only has 1 year to go on his deal. It was the same with Caoimhín Kelleher. When Kelleher went to Brentford, got the 18 million quid from him because, again, he had 1 year to go on his contract. So, I'm not saying these aren't problems of the club's own making, but I don't think we're necessarily just getting shitty fees. I think we've got some decent fees in years gone past. And I would imagine, let's say 70 million quid for Gakpo, if that came in, I consider that a good fee. Anything north of 70 million quid for McAllister, I consider a good fee. But look, some of these prices are just fuck off numbers, basically. To just stop people thinking they can come in and rinse them. But when you actually get into the crux of it and you get stuck into the conversations, if you're really interested in a player and the selling club has even an open mind to selling them, you'll see these numbers come down quite quickly. It just feels like football's lost its mind at the minute for some of the transfer fees being requested. Connor said Elise's third goal for France was Salah-esque. Nice. I haven't seen any of the football over the last couple of days because I've been basically living in this studio trying to get everything set up and ready to go for the first stream. Itachi said RID Rio Isaac Diamonde. I feel quite optimistic on the Diamonde stuff, dude, but I'm not going to say it's a done deal because it definitely is not, but I feel good about it, and I feel like we're making a big enough push that we're showing how serious we are to both the player, to his representatives, and I guess to anybody else that's interested out there that might try and come in to get a deal done. Right, let's end our poll here. We asked, are you worried about Wirtz being a success at Liverpool? Actually, we just need 6 more votes to get it to 2,000. So if you haven't, please quickly just vote on this one. Are you worried about Wirtz being a success? Nearly there. 1 second. There we are. Legends. Love it. Thank you, folks. 75% of you guys said no, that you've got no fear about Florian Wirtz being a success, and you can absolutely put me in that 75% as well. What happened to Yohan Bakayoko? Do you know what? I actually don't know where he's playing his football now. Yeah, I can't remember. I know he went somewhere, but I really can't remember. I'm sure somebody in the chat will know, but I can't remember where he went. Craig, do you think Slot was too willing to explain his tactical choices? I remember we beat Manchester United and he gave a full breakdown on TV to Roy Keane, getting away with it, but we should keeping it to ourselves. Leipzig, thank you. Leipzig is the answer. There you go. Yes, there was a couple of occasions where I thought, why are you talking that much, mate? Why are you giving that much information about what we knew they were going to do or didn't do? And ultimately, we didn't beat them. So, yeah, it was a bit weird. But then again, a lot of what Arne said I found quite weird at times. And certainly, a lot of what came out of his mouth wasn't what I was seeing with my own eyes. Craig, if Schlotterbeck goes to Madrid, we should go for Huijsen. I love Dean Huijsen. Love him. And I'm sure Iriola would as well. And I'm sure, if he was available, Liverpool would look, but I don't know of anything to suggest that Madrid would look to cash in or that he's unhappy, because he really made it clear he wanted to go to Madrid when they came in from. Are Elliott part of the deal for Diamonde or potential? So all I can say to you, Oliver, is there is previous for this where Liverpool know that there was interest in Harvey Elliott from RB Leipzig before he went on that loan to Aston Villa. Now, I don't know if that interest is still there from Leipzig, nor do I know if Liverpool potentially tried to use Elliott as a make-weight in the deal. But I don't think we should. I think we should be looking to give Elliott his opportunity this season. Because, look, ultimately, he wanted to move away for a couple of reasons. He wanted to get more game time, and he wanted, even though he knew he had an outside chance, to try and force his way into Thomas Tuchel's England setup for the World Cup. But of course, the loan spell to Villa was disastrous, and he got very little game time. So I think give him the chance. We're talking here about looking to build out the squad to give us as many options as we can over the course of the season. And I don't think it would be sensible of us to start wishing away players like Elliott. And there's another part to it as well. Right now, if you sold Harvey Elliott, you're probably not going to get the value of the player because he's coming off a season with so little first-team football that what value he had at that time has probably been diminished by 15 or 20 million quid. So I just don't think it makes sense to sell Elliott unless Iriola 100% said, I don't see him as fitting into my plans. But again, I just don't understand why we'd be looking to remove options for ourselves, because we just didn't have enough options in certain positions at time this year. And, there's definitely a few occasions this season where I thought, well, we could have absolutely done with Harvey Elliott around right now. And I can't help but wonder, was that part of the reason they didn't make the play for Mark Gay when they knew they'd lost that money? That the deal that Villa weren't going to give him over the 10 games and trigger that clause to buy. I wonder, did that play into the thinking about not making a move in January for Mark A? I'll never know, but it's just something that popped into my head at the time. Right, folks, a couple of bits and pieces. If you can, please do hit that like button for me on the stream. Really do appreciate you guys being in. We're up to 876 likes. If we can get that up to 1,000, that would be job done. Also, don't forget about our giveaway. With thanks to our friends at the Collector's Corner, we are giving away a signed and framed Alexis McAllister Argentina shirt completely free. To be in with a chance to enter, all you have to do is scan the QR code there on the screen. And most importantly, that QR code will bring you into the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, where you will get transfer links throughout the summer, your chance to talk about what type of things you'd want on the channel, poll questions, giveaways, lots of fun stuff. And it's open to everybody to join. Right, let's keep going. Let me just check through my notes. Let's go back to the conversation, if I can, about the guy from Lille, because we went through this quite early, but I was reading a piece from Bentz earlier on, and he was saying, with Andoni Iraola coming to Liverpool, I think Matthias Fernandez Pardo could be a player to thrive under him. He's got the perfect profile for Iraola's system. And then I went into the Anfield Watch Substack and read the article, and there's a couple of things that I just wanted to read out again to you guys. So he said the reason why he thinks this guy is a better fit maybe than somebody like Bouzamana Touré is because for Lille, Fernandez Pardo has operated as a left winger and as a centre forward. He started 16 games through the middle last season and 13 games from the left. Occasionally, he also played on the right. He said at 21 years of age, he's an interesting profile. He's quite tall, standing at 6'2", and has a strong muscular physique, able to ride challenges and push past his opponents. Over the course of the last season, he's proven himself as one of the most effective dribblers in the French division. Out of the players who averaged at least 5 dribbles in the competition and played at least 2,000 minutes, Fernandez Pardo ranked 4th for dribble success rate at 54%. As well as being strong and being able to use his body well, Fernandez Pardo is also quick. He can accelerate really fast for somebody of his build and reach top speed within the first few meters. This not only makes him good in tight spaces, but also allows him to make vertical runs behind defences. And again, versatility could be key here. That is what you would get with Yan Diamonde as well. Somebody who can operate on the right-hand side, left-hand side, and is naturally two-footed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and profess to know all that much about Fernandez Pardo, but he is a name that Moby Hake and a couple of other people on X that have paid attention to his career think he'd be a credible buy for us. And again, if we're talking about where can Liverpool get value in this summer's transfer market, well, players like this that would fit our profile of being 24 years of age or younger, probably a bit more of a realistic fee compared to what Premier League type players would cost, and then versatility as well. The World Cup might hamper people doing deals, though. It's certainly not going to make it easy yet. Like, there is more of a condensed time frame to get these things done, which is why you're trying to see a few bits and pieces get even pre-negotiated before the World Cup, because I'd imagine if you're a sporting director and you're out there trying to sign somebody up and you know they're going to play in the World Cup, you're probably shitting yourself. Because if this guy, whoever it might be, goes and tears it up over the World Cup, you know, the asking price could skyrocket. And that's why you'll see players or clubs that have a particular player in mind try to get something done before the World Cup where possible. Craig should be the tattoo artist. No, I can't. No, you don't want me tattooing anybody or drawing anything. I'm shocking. There'd be squiggly lines all over the place. So, on Moby Hake, as I mentioned a moment ago, he put up a post from all the way back in December as well. He said, Matheus Fernandes Pardo, such an interesting profile for this young winger midfielder, developed through the prestigious Anderlecht, Ghent and Lille Academy, dynamite talent. But he put up a post more recently to say, Liverpool's concrete interest in Fernandes Pardo was reported 5 days ago from the French media. Dortmund are also interested, but likely won't be able to reach the financial cost. He's such an under-the-radar player whose biggest trait is versatility, and he goes on to say, would be dynamite for us. Anfield Sector put up a post to say a reminder that Premier League fixtures will come out on Friday, the 19th of June at 10 a.m. And a reminder, don't fall for the fake ones, folks. There's always fake ones come out every single year, about 24 hours before the real ones, and people fall for them every year. So don't fall for any leaked ones that you see, because they're going to be bullshit. So this from David Lynch. He said, Conor Bradley is understood to be targeting a return to training shortly after the new season starts. Liverpool will take a cautious approach with him. Anfield sources currently playing down links to Palestra, according to David Lynch. Just want to also remind you guys that I won't be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I'll be back Tuesday night. A relative of mine has a 60th birthday and we're heading over to Spain for a few days. So we'll still be putting out content over those days. Connor will be here. The lads from Anfield Extra will probably do a few bits as well. But Anfield Agenda Extra, will do a few bits as well. But I won't be here from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I will be back on Tuesday. Just so you guys don't worry or think there's anything wrong or anything like that. I just have a commitment to go over there for a few days to wish a loved one a very happy 60th. Enjoy the trip. Thank you. It's going to be very unusual because no kids coming with us, which for me and Sabrina is unheard of. So yeah, we're over there for 4 nights. But honestly, I'm both excited and I'm sad because I've just moved into the new studio and, you know, I would like a bit more time in here before I went away. But yeah, look, I could probably do it a few days, to be honest. That means we signed Diamonde at the weekend. Yep, that's probably it, Biggie Mo. That's just usually the way this works, isn't it? Do you know, when I went, we were away, when was it? I think was it March? Yeah, we were away in March. Was it March? I think it was March, yeah. And as soon as I landed in Lanzarote, I looked at my phone and the news about Mohamed Salah departing came through. I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, I hadn't even unpacked the case yet. I'd landed and straight away had to do a quick video, quick reaction, because the news about Mohamed Salah leaving broke, and that wasn't a happy way to start the holiday, I can tell you that. What was the update in the Sporting players? I'm just about to go into one now on Trincão, so bear with me. So Record, who's a newspaper over in Portugal, have said that Liverpool are leading the race to bring Trincão back to the Premier League. The winger has improved significantly, they say, since he was currently in the Prem, and potentially activate his €60 million release clause. Look, I don't watch Sporting Lisbon, so I don't know if Trincão is anywhere near good enough, but €60 million release clause certainly is a realistic number and one that, you know, Liverpool could certainly afford. The other player that we were talking about was Gonçalo Inácio, who I've been told to keep an eye on. His name and Maxence Lacroix were two names that we've been discussing as potentially options for Liverpool. And there was an article on Sports Mole that said, Sporting defender Gonçalo Inácio remains firmly on Liverpool's radar as the club searches for a long-term successor to Canade. The France international is set to leave Anfield. That was about Canade. And then they went on to say, fresh reports suggest that sources close to the agents industry have indicated that Inácio is one of the leading candidates under consideration. Liverpool are not alone in that admiration. The likes of United, Chelsea and Barcelona have all been credited with an interest in the Portugal international, underlining the level of competition likely to face. They go on to say, though, about him being a naturally left-footed centre-back, which could help when Virgil van Dijk departs, of course, at the end of his contract. I want Nico Schlotterbeck as that left-sided successor to Virgil van Dijk, but if it's Gonçalo Inácio, he's certainly the right age profile. He's 24, 25 in August, so wouldn't say no if the club wants to go in that direction. Is this, can I read this one? Is that War Daddy? I can't read from there, mate. Appreciate you if it is. Thank you for gifting a membership, my man. Yeah, some of the names don't really come through clear from the monitor that I have even further away from me now, so I'm having to squint sometimes to see things. Underarm Forehair said, Premier League fixtures come out on my 18th birthday. Lucky draw. Nice. Well, happy birthday to you. 18. God, what I'd give to be 18 again. Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I don't know if I would want to be 18 again with the modern age of social media and stuff, because I'd probably be in a whole world of trouble. If I did some of this shite that I did when I was 18 now, yeah, I'd be in a load of trouble. Right, as you can see, we're counting down in the bottom right-hand corner, or bottom left-hand corner, I suppose, for you guys as well. 2 minutes and 29 left in tonight's 100. Yeah, but as I've always said, that's not a hard and fast rule. If you guys want to stick on a little bit, we can always go past it. But just that's the idea behind the new show. It's the 100, and we start the clock after I do the intro, and we count down to 100 minutes. How much would you pay for Diamonde? Honestly, I think he's a 70 to 80 million pound player, but I think you're probably going to be asked to pay more. I don't like the 130 million euro stuff. I think that's absolute nonsense. I think that's way too high. But 100 million euro, I think it's a little bit too high again, but I'd still pay it. I'd pay it if he's the guy, because I like the idea of Liverpool getting their number one target in each position. So whether that was Isak, whether that was Wirtz, now I want us to get our number one target on the right-hand side, and it definitely does look like Yan Diamonde is the one that Liverpool have decided is the ideal player to come in. What are the chances that we sign Diamonde before Ivory Coast World Cup begins, or even agree a deal? I don't know, is the honest answer. I mean, the update from Romano earlier, I'll read back out to you about Diamonde. He said this on his podcast: Liverpool are really pushing for Yan Diamonde and are insisting to make it happen. They're offering important money to the player to get a deal done. On the other side, Paris Saint-Germain have been keen, but it depends on what happens with Barcola, with Ramos and with Kang In Lee. Players have to leave PSG, while at the same time Liverpool already have some space with Mohamed Salah departing. So it looks like we're pushing, but again, the ball is in Leipzig's court, and if he says to them, look, I'm not going to sign the new deal, maybe they feel they have to then have those conversations about a number. Also, on Alisson, I can't be the only one that is open to the idea of Alisson getting a new contract, right? I know he's had some injury concerns, but if Alisson has a good season this season and gets through it without some injury concerns, I don't see why we shouldn't be considering extending him even longer. Because goalkeepers can play right into the late 30s, and he certainly doesn't look like he's slowing down or his reflexes are getting any slower. He's the best one-on-one defending goalkeeper that I can remember, and I'd love him to stay. Of course, if injuries persist, understand that as well, but quality-wise, the quality's still there. As you can see, the countdown clock has finished, ladies and gentlemen. So, with that in mind, let's start winding the stream down a little bit. Any final questions, Ratton, before we go? Let's throw them into the chat, and I will do my best to address them as quickly as we can. But we will start to wind things down a little bit. We will have a stream tomorrow night, so you don't need to worry about that one. We'll have a stream on Thursday night as well. And also, the latest episode of the Anfield Agenda podcast is coming up on Thursday. Myself, Bence and Lewis are going to sit down. Actually, on Lewis, I want to say something. So, Lewis put up a video yesterday, and the video was 10 players that could be sold from Liverpool this summer. And Rio Ngamoa was put in the video because Rio Ngamoa had been the subject of some speculation from Bayern Munich and stuff like that. And I'd seen that the comments got a little bit shitty, shall I say, and we don't have the same level of moderation on Anfield Agenda Extra because we don't do live content on there. But I do hope that you guys stick up for Lewis when you see these type of shitty comments on there, and let people know that it just isn't going to fly. There were things like calling a cancer on the fan base, an embarrassment and all this kind of stuff, and I just thought, come on lads, he's new in, I enjoy his videos, I hope you guys do as well. And we're here to support Lewis, and we won't be putting up with anybody treating him, us, or anybody like that. So, yeah, it's not. I know it's not people from a regular community. They're probably people that have been banned from the main channel and they're just coming in to be assholes. But Lewis will always have our full support, and I'm sure from you guys as well. Craig, quick question: did the data show that the studio was better? Well, no, the data on night one showed that we had a bit of work to do in the studio. Can I ask, has the audio been any better today, just before I finish up? Because, of course, all your feedback on this is really, really important to us. And today what we did is, you can't see it, but behind my monitor and the camera and all now, we have a big kind of oversized green screen wall that we were hoping would at least start to dampen down some of the sound issues. A lot better. Sweet. That really means a lot. Now we're going to try and keep building on, of course, and make it even better again. But I can't show you guys what I can see, but there is a huge big wall in front of me now of an oversized green screen setup. So good. I'm glad that it came across better. And thank you. I mean that honestly. Thank you for your feedback, because these are exactly the type of things that we want to know. And we've never had the luxury of space at Anfield Agenda. So to hear that the room is too big at times, it's not something we've been used to. So look, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'm going to say goodnight to you all. Connor will be here in the morning with a video. I'll be here as well tomorrow night with a 100. And again, appreciate you all. We'll talk to you then.